So what happens when you're already in a super inefficient EV and you have a wind advisory, so like 20 mile an hour to 30 mile an hour sustained winds, and then winds gusting like 35, 40, even up to 50 miles an hour? What effect does that have?
How bad of consumption can you get? That's what we're going to talk about today, so let's get to it. I'm Steve, this is Katie, we're the all-electric family. If you want to follow along with our EV adventures, go ahead and hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, we love to go on road trips and tow our camper. We've got 3 EVs currently, and yeah, we just love to go on adventures, so we'd love for you to join us.
Today we're in the 2023 Hummer EV, and it already gets really bad consumption, around 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour to 1.6. So today we're going to go on the interstate and do 80 miles an hour, where usually it would get like 1.4 or 5, and see what type of consumption that it will get today. We're also going to test out Super Cruise. Super Cruise is a hands-free, where you can actually allow the vehicle to control itself. This will also do auto lane change, and we're going to see how that is affected with these high winds.
Yeah, so let's get on the road.
So how you initiate Super Cruise is you first set your cruise. So we're going to set that at 80, and then you can see an emblem over here that looks like a steering wheel. That means that you can actually engage Super Cruise, and then you press the steering wheel on your actual steering wheel, and that turns to green up here when it's actually locked in, and you can go hands-free. Now you have to look at the road. If you don't look at the road, then it will give you a warning of that. So
This is definitely the most back and forth I felt it on Super Cruise.
yeah. It's supposed to do it without engaging it. Ooh, nice. Did you get that?
Yeah.
So what happened there was a big gust came up and it disengaged it, and now it turned to red saying you need to take control, and then it went to blue, which is almost like discovery, where it's getting the lane and figuring all that stuff out. And then once we got over into that actual lane, it turned green, and I was able to actually go hands-free after that. But it should have engaged auto lane change before that. We were behind a slower vehicle, and still are, because they got over. It's supposed to automatically get over at that point in time. It didn't this time. I'm not sure if that's because of the wind or what. It has in the past. So, but the other thing we're noticing is it's kind of going back and forth. It's probably how it would be if I was driving, to be honest, because this wind is kind of crazy. The wind is hitting us from an angle here, and so when the gusts really do hit us, then it does move the vehicle quite a bit. So it doesn't appear to be going outside the lane or anything like that. Have you noticed it? So it is staying within the lane, but it's not as straight down the middle as we have noticed in the past.
Another thing to mention is that we have previously said that this vehicle is very quiet, and as you can hear, it's pretty noisy today, and so I think it's just fighting against the wind. So it's definitely got some wind noise today, but we have not experienced that before. So yeah, it's windy.
Yeah, it's in the passenger front window, which kind of makes sense because the wind's kind of hitting us like this, and so it's probably catching that just right.
Yeah.
As you can tell from some of the video, this windshield is just almost straight up and down, so I don't know how the wind affects it with that, but we got bug guts all over the place, so I think that's going to be a problem.
Yes.
We need to look at what Jeep people do.
Yeah, right?
So we're approaching somebody up here, but then we have somebody to the left of us, so it should do its auto lane change. It's done it flawlessly about 4 or 5 times. So it vibrates on the left side of the seat, and then it turns the signal on and goes, and then it tells you that it's complete. It's really that flawless.
So Steve has taken over just to see the difference between using Super Cruise and like him driving it in this wind. And there's not a big difference, but I mean, I almost think Super Cruise is doing a better job than Steve is. So there's that. But I mean,
Fine, I'll give it up. It's quiet.
Yeah, now it's quiet because we're turned away. It got to about, it got to 0.8 miles per kilowatt hour.
Yeah, which is about 0.6 miles per kilowatt hour less than it normally should be getting. So whatever that equals, terrible.
Yeah.
So, and this is mild temperature. It's 55 degrees. We didn't run the heat or anything like that. So if we would have had to run the heat, oh my word, it would have been awful.
Yeah.
So roughly at that, we would have been able to go about 175 miles on a full charge. So then add heat in there, and
yeah,
you would have been going nowhere.
With the massive battery.
With the giant battery. So, yeah, as you heard it, it's, terrible to drive into a wind, especially when it's blowing 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusts up to 50. But if you have Super Cruise, Katie says it drives better than I do.
It does. I mean, it wasn't even a straight on headwind either. Had it been a straight on headwind, it could have been even worse. So that's just pretty interesting to see, to think about that it could be even worse than that when you think about your Teslas, and what they're getting for consumption. This is not a Tesla, that's for sure.